Quick question. If your pension drops by 30%, how much does it need to go up to get back to where you were? Most people say 30%. It's not. It's 43%. And if it drops by 50%, you need 100% gain just to break even. You need to double your money just to get back to where you started. That maths should bother you. And if you're within 10 years of retirement, either side, it should bother you a lot. Because what I'm about to show you is the single biggest risk to your retirement plan. And there's a good chance nobody has ever explained it to you. If you watched my last video, you'll know I'm Sanjay, the retirement expert. I'm a chartered wealth manager, and this channel is about helping you make better retirement decisions. Not theory, just what I've picked up from years of working with real people in real situations. In that last video, I showed you how to double your retirement pot in 5 years, but it left a question hanging, and some of you spotted it in the comments. What's the point of building up a big pot if one bad market in the wrong year can wipe out decades of progress? That question is exactly right, and the answer to it is something called sequence of returns risk. It sounds technical, it's not. And by the end of this video, you'll understand it better than most financial advisors do. I need to be honest about something here. When someone tells you that the stock market returns 7% a year on average, they're telling you something that is technically true, but practically dangerous. And I say that as someone who used that exact number in my last video. The whole industry uses it every day. Because markets have never returned 7% a year. Not once. What actually happens is, some years you're up 20%, some years you're up 5%, some years you're down 37%. And when you average all that out across decades, yes, you land somewhere around 7%. But here's the problem. Your retirement doesn't experience the average. Your retirement experiences the actual sequence, the specific order that those returns happen in. And that order matters far more than people realise. I'll show you what I mean. 2 portfolios, both start with £100,000. Both get an average return of 0% over 2 years. You'd expect them to end up in the same place, right? Portfolio A gets 0% in year 1 and 0% in year 2. It ends up with 100,000, no surprises. Portfolio B loses 50% in year 1, drops to 50,000, then gains 50% in year 2. 50% of 50,000 is 25,000, so it goes up to 25,000. Same average return, £25,000 less in your pocket. And nothing went wrong. No one made a bad decision, it's just the maths. In the industry, this is called volatility drag. The bigger the swings in your returns, the more they eat into your actual wealth, even if the average looks fine on paper. So when you hear that a portfolio returns 7% on average, the real growth in your money might only have been 5 or 6. The bumps cost you more than you think. While you're still working and adding money every month, this is annoying, but it's not a crisis. You've got time, you're buying in at lower prices on the way down, it roughly works itself out. But when you retire and start taking money out, that's when the same maths turns nasty. And I want to slow down here because this is the most important part of the whole video. While you're working and saving, you're in what the industry calls the accumulation phase. Money goes in, it compounds, and time is on your side. The day you retire and start drawing from that pot, you flip into the decumulation phase, and the rules change completely. Here's why. Say you've just retired with a pension pot of £200,000. You're planning to take £10,000 a year to live on. The market is doing fine. Life is good. Then in the first year, the market drops 20%. Your £200,000 is now £160,000. That hurts, but you've seen dips before. Except this time you still need your £10,000 to live on. So you withdraw it. Now you're at £150,000. To get back to £200,000 from here, the market would need to grow by 33%. Not 20, 33. And that's before you take next year's income. Year 2, the market recovers 10%. Good year. Your 150 goes up to 165. You take another 10,000. You're at 155. Year 3, Another decent year, 8%. You're up to 167. Take your 10,000, 157,000 is what's left. 3 years of positive returns after the crash, and you're still 20% below where you started. Every time the pot tries to recover, your withdrawals pull it back down. It's like trying to fill a bath with the plug out. Now flip it. Same person, same pot, same 10,000 a year, but the good years come first. 3 years of growth, then the crash hits when your pot is bigger and better able to absorb it. In that version, you barely notice. Same average returns, same withdrawals, completely different outcome. The only thing that changed was the order. This is what the industry calls sequence of returns risk, and it's the reason your pension needs to be managed differently once you stop working. Think of it like a forest. While the trees are growing, a storm knocks some down, but new ones keep planting. The forest recovers. Once you start cutting trees to heat your house, a storm at the wrong time can thin the forest to a point it never grows back from. And this isn't just a hypothetical. Charles Schwab, one of the biggest investment firms in the world, studies exactly this scenario with real market data. 2 retirees, both start with the same pot. Both take the same income. Both get the same average return over the same period. The only difference is the order. Investor A gets hit with a bad market in the first 2 years, down 15%. But they react. They cut their withdrawals right back during the downturn and live on less for a couple of years. And they let their pot stabilise. Once markets recover, they go back to normal spending. 11.5 years later, the portfolio is back to where it started. Investor B gets the exact same returns in the exact same order, but they don't adjust. They keep taking the same income through the downturn. Every month, they're selling more and more units at depressed prices just to generate the same cash. The result? Investor B's portfolio enters a death spiral. They'd need 28 consecutive years of above average growth just to get back to where they started. In practice, they run out of money. Same market, same average returns, same starting pot. One person's fine, the other is broke. The only difference was what they did during the storm. If this still feels abstract, let me give you a real one. This actually happened recently. If you retired in the year 2000 with £1 million pension, expecting something close to the historical average of 7% a year, you walked straight into what's now called the lost decade. First, the dot-com crash wiped out a chunk of your pot. Markets partially recovered, but never quite got back. Then 2008 hit, the financial crisis, and the S&P 500 fell 37% in a single year. Over that entire decade, the annualized return was less than 1%. Less than 1% for 10 years. If you'd been taking $50,000 a year to live on, a perfectly sensible 5% of your starting pot, by 2009 you were sitting on roughly $500,000. And now your withdrawals are eating 8, 9, 10% of what's left. At that rate, your money is gone within a decade. And the cruel part? If you'd retired just 5 years later in 2005 with the same pot in the same withdrawals, you'd have been absolutely fine. Same person, same plan, same money, different starting date, completely different life. That's sequence risk, and it's the number one threat to anyone approaching retirement that almost nobody talks about. So there's a window, roughly 5 years before you retire to about 10 years after, that I call the retirement risk zone. This is when your pension is at its biggest and its most vulnerable. You're either about to start drawing on it, or you've just started, and a major market fall during this window does the most damage, because you simply don't have the time to wait for a recovery. Outside this window, you can ride things out a bit more. Inside it, the maths works against you. And here's what bothers me about how our industry works. For the last 30 years of your working life, your pension was probably sat in a fund that your employer's default scheme picked. Some mix of equities and bonds, a static allocation. maybe something labelled moderate risk or balanced. And while you were accumulating, that was broadly fine. But that same static allocation, the one that was fine when money was going in, can be lethal when money starts coming out, because it does nothing to adapt to what the market is actually doing. It just sits there, hoping for the best. But think about this. If you were a high net worth investor, someone with millions in the pot, your fund manager would never let that happen. They'd be adjusting your exposure based on what the market's actually doing, reducing equity when things look stretched and increasing cash when volatility spikes, managing your money actively. But because you're a retail investor, a few $100,000 instead of millions, you've got a static label and a set and forget portfolio, and you're expected to just hope the market doesn't crash at the wrong time. I don't think that's good enough. Right, so I've spent the last 10 minutes scaring you. Time to give you something useful. There are 4 things you can do to protect yourself, and none of them are complicated. First, know your number. I keep coming back to this because it matters. If you know how much is enough, what you actually need to spend in retirement, you can build a plan around that number instead of guessing. Most people's retirement anxiety comes from not knowing. And when you don't know, you can't tell whether a 30% drop is a disaster or just a bad year you can ride out. Once you know your number, that clarity makes all the difference. Second, build an income floor. Work out what your essential expenses are, the non-negotiables, housing, food, utilities, basic transport. Then make sure those costs are covered by guaranteed income, your state pension, any defined benefit pensions, maybe an annuity for part of your pot. If your essentials are covered by money that doesn't depend on the market, a crash becomes uncomfortable, but it's not a crisis. It buys you time. Third, be willing to flex your spending a little bit. This is what separated investor A from investor B. If the market drops 30% in your first year of retirement, you don't keep drawing the same income. You pull back for a year or two, cheaper holidays, delay the kitchen, let your pot stabilise. The people who survive sequence risk aren't the ones with the biggest pots. They're the ones who build flexibility into their plan. Fourth, look at how your pension is actually invested. Is it still sitting in whatever default fund your employer picked 15 years ago? Has the allocation changed since you were 40? If not, you're in a setup that was designed for accumulation, not for the phase you're about to enter. There are strategies that specifically exist to protect you during this window. Dynamic withdrawal approaches, adaptive asset allocation, volatility managed funds. Most people don't know about them because nobody's mentioned them, but they are worth looking into, especially if you're inside that 5 to 10 year zone. I want to step back for a second. Most people think retirement planning is about one question: have I saved enough? And that matters. I made a whole video about it. But there's a second question that's just as important, and almost nobody asks it. Is my money set up to survive the transition? Because the danger zone isn't when you're 90. By then, you're spending less. Your pot has had decades to recover from any early shocks. The danger zone is the first 5 to 10 years. Your pot is at its peak. Your spending is at its highest, and a bad run of returns can do permanent damage that you can never recover from. I'm sat with people who did everything right, saved for decades, built up a solid pot, retired at a sensible age. I'm thinking of one couple. They'd been so disciplined, so careful their whole working lives. They came to see me 18 months into retirement, and the wife said something I've never forgotten. She said, "We did everything we were supposed to do. How is a third of it gone?" They didn't lack discipline, they lacked a plan for what happens when the market moves against you early. So if you're within 10 years of retirement, on either side, take this seriously. Don't just ask, how much have I got? Ask, what happens to my plan if the market does drop 30% in year one? If you don't know the answer, that's the problem to solve next. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.